So I see bubbles on top.
Yeah, so if you look right in front of her mouth, you'll see there's a bubble right there. Do you see that bubble? And there's another bubble.
Yeah,
So sometimes you don't know whether a puppy's, so this puppy's not really aggressive, but but those bubbles let you know that that puppy is getting milk.
She's got milk on her face.
She's got milk on her face, thank you, right.
Sorry.
So also tilt the bottle. You can see if I tilt the bottle like that, she's just getting air.
Yeah.
If I put the bottle like this, she may get flooded. Mm-hmm. So I just want to have that milk right at the nipple. That's not putting too much pressure. It's not going to be free flowing in her mouth. If she was kicking this thing out of her mouth, I'd know that I was flooding her and I better stop, because you can absolutely. So she's kicking away. Let's see this here. She's about to. No, she's doing okay. She's still sucking away.
Usually they turn their heads when they're kicking away.
Exactly. It's like she's turning her head there a little bit, but she's still sucking away. So I'm just going to. But every now and then, I'll just give her a little bit of a breather. And this puppy weighs 5.5 ounces. Yes. So this is a puppy. Puppy's now 2 days old. This is a puppy that needs some. It doesn't need to be in an incubator yet. If I put my finger in its mouth.
Yep.
It's nice and warm. It's moist and it's suckling away. That is a puppy that's doing fine. It just needs to get some calories in it. And by the way, when you first introduce this, you're going to find that a puppy does not want any part of this until they get used to it. What you can do is if you put your finger in their mouth and then quickly transition to this, they'll typically take the bottle and get going. And they'll kind of munch around on a little bit, and then they'll get a little bit of milk, and then they'll realize, oh, that funny feeling thing is actually a nipple with milk in it.
Sometimes it helps if you have milk on the outside of it, so
Yes.
they can
Yes.
identify what it is,
Yes.
and it's not just a plastic object.
Yeah, so when we're talking about that, look, that's what we want. See that just dripping? That looks good. We don't want a stream of milk coming out, because that could flood a puppy. So we want very little, if any, milk coming out when it's held. Now remember, when you first put warm milk in it, you hold it upside down, the warm air in the bottle above the milk will expand and force the milk out. So you've got to be a little careful on that. That's why if you do this every now and then, you'll let that gas that's warming up, the air that's warming up above the milk to equalize so it doesn't push the milk out. And how do you know that she's had enough? Like Chanel was saying, if you kick them, she'll kick it out. Something else that you should be doing, of course, is to weigh your puppies.
Yes.
You can weigh them beforehand. You need to feed them. They should eat about 1/30 of their weight each feeding. So a 5-ounce puppy would consume about 5 mils or 5 cc's of milk. You can weigh, what I like to do is I like to weigh the bottle with the milk before I start the feeding, and I do it in grams, because 1 gram is 1 cc. And then I can see how much has been consumed, and then I know that I'm kind of had enough.
And the point of that is because bottles like this don't have
it's just too coarse. You just can't tell where you are. I mean, the amount this is going to go down this feeding, you're hardly going to be able to measure it. That's the problem.
You're not going to be able to see it with the eye, so use your scales.
Yeah, but here's another good way. Look at the puppy's belly. How does the belly look? Does she have a big fat belly? And the answer is, her belly, it could be quite a bit more extended than that.
It could be.
It could be. So she
just started.
She just started nursing, and the thing to be careful here is you don't want a dog that's getting too much where it starts to regurgitate milk, because if it does, it could likely get into their lungs, and then that really can end up with pneumonia and a really difficult situation. So don't feed more than once every 3 hours. If they've been nursing on mum, which we recommend that should do that as well, remember that they're not going to take as much milk because they've already got some milk in their belly. If you take them off mum and they've got a big fat belly, just let them stay with mum. Don't be trying to force feed these puppies. But what you're looking for is a puppy that gains 1/2 ounce every day, remembering that the first day is going to lose 1/2 ounce overnight, and that you're then got to gain that back. That takes the next day. So it's day 3 where you start to see weight gains of 1/2 ounce off the original birth weight. That's normal. If you consistently see 1/2 ounce lost every day, you better be stepping in quickly and doing something. A little bit about what's going on with this dog. Puppy here's not. This puppy, I'm going to look over here for a second. 6.77. We're an ounce below that right now. So that is a situation that we should be 1/2 ounce below. So this is why we're supplementing to make sure this puppy is going to get some milk.
And keep in mind, puppies that are born, they do lose when they come out, like human babies do.
Yep.
But not as much as this puppy is lost.
That's right, exactly. So what are we using here? This is from My Breeder Supply, but basically this is a regular human baby bottle with a silicone 0 to 3 month old silicone nipple. If you turn it upside down and it's just squirting milk out like crazy, throw that nipple away and go get a new nipple. You can't do anything about it. If you squeeze on a bottle and nothing comes out, then you can go get a needle, heat it up with a match or a lighter, and you can stick that in the hole and extend the hole a little bit. If you just try to puncture it, it'll rip it. It won't be any good.
And if you go to the store, they will, and tell them what you're looking for, they will say, oh, we've got these, and it's almost always for kittens,
Yes.
and they're really narrow. They're not
The
like your mama's nipples, so you want to try to simulate that as best
So that looks
possible.
huge, doesn't it? But it's not when you compare that with a French's nipple. It's not.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised. This is not a problem at all. The skinny nipples suck.
They
So-
have a wide palate. They've got wide tongues. It fits perfectly.
That's
for
right.
them.
So now the question is this baby still wanting to nurse? So let's have a look, see what she's doing here.
Sometimes those nipples
There he goes.
are smaller than mama's nipples.
Yeah, that's what we talked about. The
Yeah.
kitten ones.
I find that puppies that have not ever had a nipple before, if you take your thumb and forefinger like this and rub the sides of their mouth, it kind of helps stimulate them and get their mouth open. But it can be, sometimes it's a little hard to get them going. They just don't like the feel of that silicone nipple. But after a feeding or two, they're completely used to it. So sometimes you've got to get their mouth open. Get your fingers into their mouth and get their mouth physically open so that you can stick that nipple in.
Show them what it is.
Show them what it is. But a little bit, like Chanel was saying, a little bit of milk on it helps. But you have to kind of almost kind of get a little bit rough. This puppy here is doing fine.
Yeah. We've had puppies just refuse, and then
Yeah.
you do the side trick with the side of their mouth with your fingers, because your fingers are actually more closely what they think
There
is
you go.
mama.
And it's warm.
And it's warm,
Yes.
and so that's whenever you can do the swap. Swap out your finger, put the
Yes.
bottle
Yes.
nipple in.
Yeah, do the quick switcheroo.
And another thing about those really long, narrow nipples that you can find at pet stores or farm supply stores, they will actually suck that really far down their throat, and they're not creating a vacuum suction. That suction needs to be learned by these puppies so that they can eventually go to mama and nurse off mama.
So great point, Chanel. So that's one of the problems you can run into. You're feeding a puppy and nothing's going on, or maybe milk's coming out of its nose. Check for a cleft palate. A cleft palate is an opening in the roof of the mouth, and those puppies probably are not going to survive. And part of the problem is they can't create a vacuum, they can't nurse, so they have to be tube fed. So I've got a whole video just on cleft palates, but just be aware of the fact if you've got a puppy that's not gaining weight, make sure that you have looked in the roof of the mouth to make sure that it's consistent. There's not a hole there. If you've got a hole, you've got to.
Ask your vet to
Check.
Check.
for any cleft
But it's so
palates
easy for you to
as well.
do. I mean, I think this is all part of learning what you're doing. Is that, for us, when our puppies are born, the very first thing we check is sex, because we want to know whether they've got any boys or girls.
Yeah.
The next thing we know is we look in their mouth and we do it like this. You need a flashlight. Just open the mouth up. Just look into the roof of the mouth. Have to get the tongue out of the way. I can see in there, but you can't. I can just see above it with the flashlight. I could see there's
Yeah.
nothing.
Having more hands involved also helps. too.
Yes, and here we go. So if I think you still want some more.
Yeah.
Good.
She's doing good. A good thing about this puppy, even though she's lost, she wants to keep trying, and that's a really good sign.
So if she wasn't trying, what would you do?
Tube feed.
Tube feed. If she's not going to take a bottle, and if you don't do anything, the puppy will not make it. You've got to get calories into puppies. If the puppy has got cold, it won't nurse. If the puppy's lost too much weight, it likely won't nurse. So the solutions for this is tube feed, an incubator, maybe oxygen, and if they've got pneumonia, amoxicillin or Clavamox.
Keep checking their internal mouth temperature too.
Yes, exactly. That's a great sign. If you've got a puppy like this that's, you find it's just not moving at all, not very much, and it's cold, first thing to do is get that puppy warmed up. If you don't have an incubator, go get a towel, put it in your, as she's saying, I've had enough.
Yeah. She's like, I'm done.
I
Check
think
her belly. It may not look very big, but she's saying she's done, and we'll try again.
Yeah,
There it is.
There
She's
we
got
go.
a little pudge.
yeah.
You got
All
a
right.
little pudge.
So we put her back with mum.
Okay.
All right.